This month's episode of Shoe Geeks is proudly sponsored by Asics. Make your fastest runs even faster with the cutting-edge METASPEED Series. Featuring their lightest, most reactive FF Blast turbo cushioning and a full-length carbon plate, the METASPEED Plus series is waiting to help you find your speed. Visit asics.com.au or your specialty running store to grab your pair today.
Your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place? Under the cover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking.
Hey, welcome to the Shoe Geeks July episode, Inside Running Podcast. Thanks for joining me. Tom, which is pretty rare. You don't always join us on these podcasts. Sometimes you don't show up at meetings at all. How are you going over there in Sydney?
Once. I missed one meeting.
It's the last meeting.
Yeah. It wasn't good. I'm good. Enjoying a bit of sun in Sydney for once. Yesterday was a really nice day, which was rare.
And Julian, over in Geelong, how you going, mate? Or Torquay, wherever you are.
Close enough. Yep. It's good. It's no sun down here, but it's still nice to be running. Did more Ks this month. Did a couple of races. Tommy did more Ks and did some races, so maybe a little more content this month.
Tom ran. What did you run? You ran this. Was it like a downhill 11.9K event yesterday? Is that right?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be 11. It's probably just a touch over 11, but Sutherland to surf. It's like it's normally a good lead-in race for City to surf. So it's just Sutherland to Cronulla, and it's a big net downhill. Everyone runs pretty fast on that course because it's mostly down. There's a few little ups, but they're like gradual and. Yeah, it's quick course. A lot of people claim their 10K going through 10K as their PB on that course, which is a bit.
And considering this episode is sponsored, or it's endorsed, we're going through the Asics METASPEED Sky, and Edge range today, and other Asics shoes. Did you wear your Asics yesterday, Tom?
Yeah, I did. I wore the Edge.
Fantastic. And Julie, you didn't get the Edge, did you?
No, we were given the option of picking Edge or Sky, and. Just based off the last model, I really preferred the Sky over the Edge, the feel anyway. So I picked the Sky this time around as well. And then since I made this selection, we got both models in store, and I got to kind of try them on together. And I'm glad I picked the Sky. Yeah,
look, has there been much interest in them as well? I can see a bit of media has popped up with the METASPEED range.
It definitely was after Gold Coast Marathon when they gave a lot of the elites were given a pair basically, or they could get a pair if they wanted for free. And so you saw them on a lot of feed up there, and then they marketed pretty hard, like put ads on the broadcast, the stream. But from a retail perspective, I think we got 5 pairs of one model and 4 pairs of the other, and the sizing was all over the shop. So you had to be pretty lucky to actually find the right size.
We are lucky to have them as well, but it was nice running through them. I've worn them about 4 times already now for different purposes. So I haven't worn the Edge. Tommy, you've done both, is that right? You've worn both?
Yeah. I only wore the Sky once. I've worn the Edge 3 times now.
Well, tell us now.
Should we talk about it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, can you tell us, Tommy, you've worn them both. I could start with you, and you know the metrics pretty well.
So I was looking forward to trying the Edge when I heard that it was quite different from version 1, because version 1 was, lower stack, more of a kind of a more minimal type super shoe. But I kind of like the sound of just more foam. So I got the edge, and I was lucky enough to get the Sky as well soon after from Jace from Asics. So I decided when I first got them, I decided to do a session where I'd wear both, just because I was curious to feel the difference. So I ran what I did 2 by 10 minutes, kind of at it was a tempo, probably like between, like effort wise, it wasn't high effort. It was probably between half marathon and marathon effort. And I did, I think the first 10 in Sky, second 10 in Edge. And they're similar, but I would say like they're not dramatically different. The foam, it's the same foam, so you kind of get that same sort of density of material under your foot, but it's more to do with you can feel the slight difference in geometry and the slight difference in the plate position. So my perception was the Sky felt like it would suit maybe someone more forefoot dominant up on their forefoot, using all that forefoot cushion, a bit more aggressive as well. Like it felt, you know, you guys, you said, Nitta, it felt like almost a negative drop. Like it doesn't feel like there's much under the heel. So it probably works better when you're up onto the forefoot. There you go. So that's it.
So this is really interesting. This, like you mentioned through here, when you place the shoe on, I know it's got the specs are 39 mil at the rear and 34 at the forefoot. There's no way that aesthetically it appears that way, but this is quite a high sidewall through here, through the midfoot, so it is a bit deceptive. But perceptually, all the geometry, when you place your foot in, it does not feel like it has a 4 mil or 5 mil pitch in it at all.
No, it almost feels negative drop. If you're standing in it, it feels like you're rocking back onto the heel because there's so much on the forefoot. And so compared to the Sky version 1, the main difference that I felt was the plate. I could feel, I knew the tech specs going in was different in terms of the plate position, but I could definitely feel it. So the plate, instead of like most of the super shoes where the plate dips like a spoon into the forefoot closer to the ground, it sits flatter and closer. Do you want to show on the shoe, Mike, the plate position? It kind of just follows that line closer.
Yeah, it follows this line quite high up on the shoe, whereas the edge gets to around about maybe here and it starts dipping quite low to the base. So, but this one's quite high. And look, the concept of that was built on, like, you know, having a higher pitch and a lower plate to try and fit the rocker further back on the edge to suit a person who had like a higher frequency of stride or higher cadence. Whereas the Sky was hypothetically designed to try and accommodate someone with a higher length of stride or longer length of stride with less of a cadence attached to it. Now, I'm not sure whether that sits true or not. It definitely makes you, if you wear the Sky, it makes you want to take a longer stride. And if you wear a cadence, it makes you want to take a higher cadence comparatively to each other, would be my guess. But I'm not sure if it accommodates that.
Tom ran in them. Do you feel like it changes your gait, Tom?
No. It doesn't change my gait or change the way I want to change my gait. I don't think for like an experienced runner who's got their gait in tune and have got that movement pattern down pat, it's going to really, they're not going to want to change their gait. And they're not, I don't know if it, I just was basically, I was interacting with it differently with the same gait, obviously. And to me, and I don't know, I don't know what I really label myself as. I'm not really extreme either way, I don't think. But I would just gravitate towards the higher pitch and the less stiffness as well. The two things I found with it was, you know, you had the lower drop, but it's also stiffer. So the combination of like that shoe not bending, it didn't feel like it bent as much, and it was lower drop. It did feel like it was more aggressive on the foot.
Did you find it tough to get over that rocker? Did you find it tough to get over that rocker on the Sky?
Yeah, I had the same perception as you. I think when you mentioned that, I found like it. Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know, it was like this tripping point. It was like I was working a bit harder to get the rocket to actually do its thing.
And it is a lot more aggressive than Sky V1 right at the tip in terms of the rocket. I just found that if I was at pace and I hit the shoe further down through here-ish, it worked really well. But if I hit it back here, I felt like I had to get up and over the plate.
Definitely. Yeah. So as soon as I threw the edge on after wearing the Sky, it just felt like less shoe on my foot. I was like less aware of the shoe. And so like when people ask me about what the comparison I'd kind of do compare it to like a little bit like Alpha Fly and Vaporfly. The Sky, I feel like the Sky's a little bit more like the Alpha, and the Edge a bit more like the Vaporfly. And the other thing which I felt was like you actually feel at the foot level the plate, so it just didn't feel as soft and plush in the forefoot in the Sky because the plate is closer to the foot.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're the main differences. I enjoyed them both. Like they're both great. But do you think there's a need for both? Do you reckon there's a I mean, obviously they don't feel dramatically different. Do you reckon they could have got away with one, or do you think it's just essentially trying to create two similar to the Alpha Fly and the Alpha Fly and the Vaporfly? I function in them very differently, at least perceptually. And my stride length is longer, and it's definitely a slower cadence rate in those two shoes compared to the Vaporfly and Alpha Fly. These, I'm looking forward to seeing the Edge to see if there's a large influence or difference between the two. I wouldn't think so, but yeah, do you think there's a market for two? I mean, there is. The issue is, I think there probably is, but the issue is like people figuring out which shoe is for them. I think that's the main issue. Like, I don't think it's as simple as saying, okay, I got a long stride, I'm a Sky guy.
Yeah.
I think there probably is a place for both, depending on how that runner, what sort of things they're looking for out of the shoe. But it's just tricky that just people need to try them on, I guess, and have just figuring out why they would use one over the other is the tricky part.
That's a good point. I think like the marketing campaign around how to sell them from Asics or who's it suited to, it kind of forgets that people are different and people have different preferences. And if everyone just bought a shoe on what worked on paper, then everyone would wear the Alpha Fly because it's got the most amount of economy benefit to it. But not everyone likes running in certain shoes and certain feels, and we all like different things. So I think the whole, although they've done well trying to segment the shoes and polarize them into two different sort of gait patterns or two different types of runners, which no other companies really tried to do that, I guess, or at least call it out in their marketing. It doesn't really work in practice, in my mind.
These two shoes feel the Plus series feel closer together, no doubt, Tom, than what the Edge, the original Edge, and the V1 Sky.
Yeah,
they were definitely quite different, weren't they?
Yeah. I never tried the first Edge, but from what I've heard, they're very different.
Yeah. So the Sky Plus weighs about 205 grams, so it's nice and lightweight. It's meant to have 39, 34. The plate being high is interesting. I remember doing a longer workout for about 25 minutes in it. And I felt the plate more at the end of the workout than I did at the start of the workout. And how your metatarsals sit in a bit of a parabola, for example. Mine sort of sit in a bit of a relatively concave parabola. So I felt like heating up under the second or third metatarsal in where the plate sat quite high. So for a long duration, I know I would feel that after, even more time as well. So when you're walking, it feels quite stiff. When you hit the ground hard, it felt relatively responsive and cushioned. So consequently, I found the Sky to be much better running close to 3-minute K pace for my 1K reps, and I did say running 3:20 pace. I felt like I sort of had to work hard to get over the rocket. The toe box is an upgrade, I think, in terms of just volume compared to the V1. It's got a better fit, and it's just a pretty aggressive shoe. I found. I think I'm not quite strong enough to wear that shoe for a long, long time frame. I think that's probably part of the puzzle. If I weighed a bit less and probably a little bit stronger in calves, I could wear the Sky Plus for a half marathon plus. But I put a 9mm heel pitch in the shoe and it felt level when I was standing. So it feels like it runs off a negative drop, and I'm looking forward to trying the Edge more so for training, the Edge Plus.
The thing that I really love, I've done one workout in the shoe now. It was what was it actually? It was a threshold type run. I think it was 4 by 6 minutes maybe. Just my first sort of threshold run back. And I loved how stable it was compared to other super shoes. It must be, I'm not exactly sure, but the platform underneath is a little broader than others. And the lockdown in the upper was as good as any super shoe that I've ever put on. I thought they've improved that dramatically since the first version. There's like a quarter of a size longer, a little bit more flex in the upper, so my foot doesn't get just like cramped like it did in V1. And I went like this, where I do workouts, I go around corners, I run on dirt, I'm on corrugated roads, and I haven't felt anything that stable from the Super Shoe range. Every other brand, like when I go around corners, I've got to slow down. I feel like I'm quite like wonky. Whereas this, I could turn corners aggressively and feel really safe. So
it's really stable, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you've got races like with hairpin turns or with patches where you're going through like tight corners, or even if you're doing a little bit of like a slight trail section to the race, then I think this would be my choice out of the other Super Shoes. And I've worn pretty much every one now. And so this is right up there in terms of stability. And I loved how I could put all my force into the foam up front. And I think it was the plate being high, but I felt like I didn't compress the foam at all.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Yeah, a lot of the other shoes I feel like I'm sort of bottoming out or I'm sinking one way or the other because of how soft the foam is. But I could just push through this foam and know that my foot was staying really stable and I was getting a great almost lever back. So I think I might have to use a heel wedge in it like you guys. But I really like it. It's going to play a part in my rotation where a lot of other Super Shoes won't.
Look, it's interesting that they went quite different. Like, I'm surprised they didn't make the one version shoe and nail it by having maybe a 34 forefoot, a 39 rear foot, and potentially the plate like that's currently in the Edge Plus. So I guess the V1 with the new Flight Flown Turbo would be an upgrade from the previous Sky version, which you loved, didn't you, Tom? And we've seen other athletes. We've seen some examples where whether it's because they hadn't worn the new shoe, that Christian Blumfeld, the Ironman for his Breaking 7 project or Breaking 8 project, I think it was. He wore the version 1 Sky. He was more economical in his testing compared to the Edge Plus and the Sky Plus. So whether that 4-foot foam, Tom, in the Edge, do you miss that extra few millimeters of 4-foot foam in the Edge Plus? Do you think that would be an ideal scenario between the two shoes?
Yeah, I don't know. Now, I need to wear maybe the version 1 again because I haven't killed that yet, but I kind of have this feeling that I'm the same as him and I might prefer the V1 over both the Sky Plus and the Edge Plus because it is kind of like a mix between them. But all three, I think, are stable as well. Like they're all probably because the foam isn't marshmallow soft. It's stable in the front or playing side to side. You're not people that sort of pronate heavily or supinate heavily. It's kind of just balanced that out a bit and doesn't accentuate it.
Yeah.
All right. I reckon we nailed it, boys. What do we think? Happy with the shoe? Going to keep wearing it? You wore it for a race. If you're wearing a shoe for a race, it's got to be good.
Yeah, it's the only other shoe I'd probably wear apart from Vaporfly. From the shoes I've had,
Because you haven't matured enough to appreciate the Alpha yet.
No, I'm not. I'm not there. I don't need. I've still got enough ability in my tendons and body to use a real racing shoe.
Well, you require a bit more tendon ability wearing the new METASPEED Sky Plus. That's for sure.
All right. What else you been wearing, Tom? Just quickly roll through a couple of training shoes.
I wore the Streak Fly. That was exciting. So
tell us about it.
I've had it for like a couple of months, but I don't know, whenever it came out. But because I'm coming back from this foot injury, and I've had like colds and whatever, lots of crap going on. I haven't been able to use it, so I finally got around to it last week. I did a Geeks quarters in it, so it's kind of like I haven't done that volume at that intensity for a while, like this year, and I wore that shoe, and it was fun. It was fun. It was
on the track. On the track.
Yeah, on a track. Yeah, so I went down to a synthetic track and did it.
Yeah.
so basically, I would not use that shoe for a 5 or 10K race. I still would use, which is what it's marketed for. I would still use a Vaporfly. Yeah. Although it's lighter, you don't get the same pop. You don't get that 4-foot rocker feel, that amazing pop that you get out of one of these higher stack ones. But it was it's going to be a fun training shoe. It was nice and light. It was soft. It had a little bit of pop, but the issue with the lack of propulsion, I think, was just from the extreme flexibility of the sole. So I think there's a sweet spot.
Would you train in it? Would you train in it over the Streak 6? I know you wore the Streak 6.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it's more forgiving. I think it's kind of like a really it's a soft Streak 6, or it's kind of like a new age Lunar Racer, softer than both. Some people might find it a little bit too mushy. Maybe a bit like some people found the Peg Turbo a little bit not good for faster running, because it was not didn't find it that poppy. But I found it fine at pace. But the flexibility, I do think there's like a sweet spot of flexibility for every person and every pace. And so running at that pace in a soft shoe with that much flexibility, I could actually feel my foot like working quite hard. And the next day I had like bad foot DOMs. Like my muscles in my feet were like really sore just from all the movement, and because they were just being used more, because their toes were obviously bending back their full range of motion. But like, having said that, I know that a lot of people that have wore the New Balance Pacer, which is kind of like New Balance's version of a low stack racer, they found that too stiff, because there's apparently a carbon plate full length, and some people are like, it's so stiff that it can only run really fast, and otherwise it just feels a bit harsh. I don't know if you've worn it. You guys have worn that one, but
Bree has a pair.
So it's fine.
Bree's got a pair. She loves them actually. She
okay.
Yeah, she loves those firm, responsive type flats, and did a workout on the treadmill in them, and also on the oval.
I think the Adidas had the Pro, not the Adios Pro, but they had the Pro, didn't they? That was the lower stacked version. The plate was quite superficial. You could feel the shoe to be stiff without having a traditionally high midsole like the Pro. And I found putting that onto its strides was a very stiff shoe for not as much foam around either side of the plate. So, but if you're really lightweight, maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
it was definitely fun being in a light shoe. I think some people could do like, being lower stack, like more cross country or just courses where a bit more uneven surfaces where you're not at risk of spraining your ankle in a high stack. Yeah. What else? So that was fun. I'll use that more for sessions. I'll use that for sessions maybe around White Fence at Centennial. Yeah. When I get back to those at some point. Yeah. And other than that, just training shoes, just the Kayano Light 3, which has been
Tell
good.
us about that,
Tom. So Kayano Light is 6. That's it. I think you spoke about it last week, didn't you?
I did briefly. I hadn't truly worn it much yet. It's got the flight foam midsole, quite firm. The lacing system's gone. The Asics have sort of taken this little waffle type lacing system. The upper's really nice fit. Quite a large surface area on the base. It's really stable. Look, it was firm. But, I think on the next shoe we talk about, which you run in, Tom, as well, is quite polarizing to it from Asics as a training shoe. But look, this is. I don't actually find it that firm. I reckon you just bottom it out. You crush the foam till it bottoms out, and then it feels firm. Maybe. Yeah, the 4-foot felt firm to me within 10 minutes of running in it. So
I reckon that shoe to me probably has one of the best training uppers I've ever worn. I love the upper on that shoe. Yeah. Everything about it. It's a really, really nice upper. But the midsole, I don't know. Like it's just not going to be durable. Like it's so soft that I do think within a run, towards the end of the run, it does feel like it starts to bottom out a bit. And it's probably going to stay compressed as that shoe wears after 200 or 300K. So I think I've been enjoying that shoe, but I know that there's, like with some other recent models, there may be some durability issues with that. So.
But look, if there's going to be durability issues, the shoe should be at least fun, in my opinion. And I know you've worn this a few times, Tom, but this, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, this is a Nova Blast 3. It gets released in September-ish, is that right?
I'm not exactly sure, to be honest.
I heard August.
The date of it. Yeah, don't know.
Well, I'll talk some specs on this shoe. This is the Nova Blast 3. It's about 250 grams for a size 9. It runs off, it's interesting, it's meant to be about 31 millimeters at the rear foot and 23 at the forefoot. But when you include the sock liner and the outsole, it's 38 and 30 mils. So an 8 mil pitch. The upper is really thin, lightweight upper, breathable. But the magic in this shoe is the Flight Flown Blast Plus. It's light. It's responsive. It's compared to, I'd say, the second version of the Nova Blast. It's probably around about maybe 10% lighter, you reckon? Overall, I can't remember what the weight of the Nova Blast 2 was, but I thought the foam would bottom out. But I've taken it for up to 70 minutes so far, and it does not bottom out under the forefoot. It's really responsive. And it being lighter means you can pick the pace up. I don't want to call it yet, but I reckon this will be one of the most versatile training shoes. It's definitely the most enjoyable Asics training shoe I've ever worn, full stop. And it's not surprisingly unstable. I thought that the second version became very stable compared to the first version because the midsoles in the first version had very much like large concavities at the rear foot, so you could compress it laterally immediately a lot more. This has the same geometry as the second version, and there's the side walls through here of the midsole have all been filled in. So it feels relatively stable, but because the foam's a little bit more compliant than the second version, the stability probably sits between version 1 and version 2. But look, this is a really enjoyable shoe, and I've already worn it for, I think, maybe 60, 70 Ks on varying terrains. And yeah, like in terms of, I've had a love-hate relationship with some of the mileage shoes in Asics for the long time. This I bottom out and I find firm, and this I find almost ideal. So just how I interact with this particular shoe on the ground is just so different.
It's good. Yeah. I've only done one run in it, and it was very enjoyable. Very. I loved version 1. It was a little bit unstable, but it was light and poppy. But this is taking it to the next level. Like it's probably lighter than version 1. It's at least as poppy, if not poppier. And it's stable. Like it feels pretty stable. So they've got this awesome mix going on in that shoe. Like it's fun. I'm looking forward to doing more in that in the Nova 3.
And look, you touched on it as well, didn't you? You sort of said that, perhaps this will have durability issues. Perhaps it's built for a good time, not a long time. But I would happily buy that shoe again after 200 kilometres, I reckon, and pay the full dollars for it because it is an amazing shoe. So I think it was, and it looks nice as well. It's a well-designed shoe in terms of aesthetics. So you haven't worn the Nova 3 yet, have you, Julian? And I think the market doesn't come out till about September-ish either, which means listeners will have to just be pending.
Yeah. No, I don't get sent the shoes that you boys get sent, unfortunately. We've discussed this before. You two have a much bigger influence on selling shoes than I do. So the Nova, the Nova Blast 3 wasn't ordered by the previous owners of the running company in Geelong, and so it looks like our store will miss out on them. I'm trying very hard to get some for the store, but Asics don't really order more stock than their store's orders, so there's no backup stock or anything like that. And every week I send an email to my Asics man and say, "Have you found any yet?" Because I really want them. So for us it'll be like the previous. We'll see how we go. I'm not sure when they land. Everything's delayed right now, so even if there was an official date on it, it probably gets pushed out.
This month's episode of Shoe Geeks is proudly sponsored by Asics. Since their launch, METASPEED shoes have helped elite runners win medals at international competitions, including gold medals at both men's and women's triathlon at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. They've also helped achieve over 200 personal bests and counting. With more turbo, more propulsion, and more traction, you are guaranteed more speed with the all-new METASPEED Plus series. The METASPEED Sky Plus has a carbon plate positioned higher and flatter in the midsole to deliver more propulsion for a stride-type runner. The METASPEED Edge Plus, however, has the plate positioned lower and more curved in the midsole and combines with the higher drop to give a cadence-type runner a more efficient forward roll. Visit www.asics.com.au or your specialty running store to grab your pair today.
So what have you been wearing, Julian? Yeah. I saw you've raced. You're back into running your marathon pace for at least 6Ks.
Yeah, well, yeah. Felt harder than it wasn't marathon effort. Might have been marathon pace. I've been wearing a heap of shoes. One of the most fun things about doing more mileage is you get to put more shoes on your feet. And I've been cycling through different workout shoes. I think in my time off, I looked at all the super shoes I had lying around and thought, gee, I don't give many of these a run. Like I normally just revert to Alpha Fly and do my workout in them. So I've done a workout in the Adidas Adios Pro 2 that I had sitting around.
What do you think?
Felt pretty good. I mean, pretty snappy, laterally unstable, like you feel, Nitta. The foam feels pretty good. The fit's pretty good, but doesn't blow me away. Did a workout in the METASPEED Sky, which I found had some really good qualities that the other shoes didn't have, so I'm going to use that more often. In my jogging shoes, I've started to wear more shoe as the mileage has increased, so I've got away from the Ultra, the zero drop shoe, and I've started to go a little bit bigger. So I've gone back to the Nike Invincible for a lot of easier days, and this shoe is just a delight to run in. It is incredibly nice under the forefoot when you're just cruising along. And most of my running is at very slow paces now, and it's just a delight. There's enough stiffness in it where you do get like a bit of rocker and a bit of propulsion, but it's not aggressive or sort of unpleasant like some of the super rigid jogging shoes are. So the Invincible has been really fun. I've still been jogging in my On Cloud Monsters. They're holding up well so far. I've been jogging in this shoe, which is the New Balance Super Comp Trainer. This was, I couldn't see everyone else around me getting them and loving them without me getting a pair. So I grabbed a pair, and I'd actually tried to do a workout in it the first time I got it, but it was just too much shoe. It was a bit too thick. It was a little bit too spongy, too unstable on the corners. But I've been loving doing some easy jogs in these. It takes
funny, Julian, you showing pictures of your outsoles and me as well, showing a little bit of dirt on the outsole. I don't think I've ever seen Tom have dirt on any outsoles living in Sydney, ever.
No, not when you pick out the concrete. You especially head to the concrete.
I love concrete. You can feel the shoes more.
But yeah, that's my lineup. We got some new stuff coming in the store lately. I might as well mention we got Glycerin 20, Glycerin 20 GTS. We have, what else has dropped in? The Hoka Mach 5 has been a really good shoe. Way more cushioned, way more fun than the version 4. So that's been pretty nice. We got the Bondi 8 has just dropped. So that's a little different.
Still pretty stiff?
Yeah, it's still pretty stiff. It's going to have the same capacity to unload like the last one, but the fit is different. It's tighter, it's shallower. Yeah. So you got to be careful there. Yeah. What else has dropped that's sort of new? The Invincible 2.
Yeah, Invincible 2. Is that just an upper update?
Just an upper update, yeah. So it's a little bit more accommodating. That's probably the main thing. If you've got a little bit more of a broader foot, it seems to fit better.
What was that? Did you say Invincible 2?
Yeah, Invincible 2. Yeah. I had them both on, and I ended up like picking the older version just to get it out of the store, but I didn't notice much difference, just a little bit looser in the second version.
Did you get out for the long run this week, Julian?
Oh, yeah, long run. So what shoes were out yesterday? We've got a pair of New Balance Moors. New Balance Moors for someone with Achilles issues, because it has the best heel cup in the business for taking pressure off an Achilles. If you're ever like have pressure related issues with the Achilles, the More is great. What else is there? What else is on the long run? Got a pair of Vomeros. What was?
But Vomero, the 15.
The 16, the Nike
16.
Vomero 16.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me think.
You still got heaps of Triumph out there? Heaps of Triumphs running around?
There was a Triumph out there yesterday. One Triumph. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of the other shoe.
We on the trails?
No, there was two Vomero 16s out there. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't see many of those floating about.
No.
I
mean, they're solid. Yeah.
He didn't get that, I don't think so.
No, he didn't get it. It went over his head.
Just because you don't run with anyone, Tom.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't have any friends.
And then it's my week for the Hall of Fame shoe. So I'll give that out now. So
do you want to have a guess? You have a guess, Tom? What do you got?
Ooh. Something weird. I don't know. What's he got? It's not going to be the... Have we already got... Oh, you already said the Zoom Elite, didn't you? No, I don't know. What do you reckon?
I reckon Vomero 12.
Oh, yeah.
No, not yet. It's the Saucony Triumph ISO 2. So it might seem a bit eclectic, but this shoe here, this was up there with like, I'm going to dump him in the group to have a look at now. But this was up there with my favorite shoe of all time. It was one of the first neutral shoes that I ever wore without, as I was transitioning across from always being a support shoe wearer. Mm-hmm. And I think it was one of the first neutral shoes that had aspects of stability to it. So it got stability from a geometry perspective and high stack. There you go. So Nitta's got it up. So higher stack as well. Like we weren't doing a lot of high stack back then outside of Hoka.
Look at that color code, Julian.
Yeah, no, I like that color. And the flex grooves. So underneath the flex, like it was quite a flexible forefoot with a more rigid heel. Yeah, so you can see those lines. So you can see the breakup between the back and the front. Like this was just a smart shoe. And you could get a lot of Ks in it. It was also one of the first shoes to go broad platform. So like it was an innovator. Without it doesn't get...
It was neutral with a wide surface area, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was about 2014, I reckon.
Okay.
It also coincided with like when I started running mileage consistently. And so it's got a correlation with me getting finally fit or better at running. And,
look, I got to ask this because this whole Hall of Fame thing means that the population have to relate to the shoe. Tom, do you think this is like this is a global Hall of Fame shoe? You reckon?
It's a very personal.
Should this be in the list, or this is just Julian's really good experience with the shoe makes it to a list because he's had a good experience with it?
Yeah, this is a nice little personal one here. I don't know. I wonder how many people would actually remember running in this shoe.
That's good. Yeah, no. I like this. We sold this shoe so well. We had people coming back for years asking about it. You Nike fanboys, like you don't branch out enough, and this brand doesn't get enough credit for the innovations that it dishes out. So I'm giving it some love.
Look, they've got some really good stuff coming out, as you would know, in the near future. Saucony, I'm excited for what's coming out for them. I mean, I reckon they've done really well with their endorphin range. That gets better by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Plenty more to talk about from that company.
Should be next month. We see a lot of that stuff drop.
Look, hopefully for the listeners, we get a guest on next time. We won't give anything away. I've emailed the guest. I think he seems pretty enthusiastic. So we're just going to get the time zones correct in relation to getting this person on. So
yeah,
that should be
fun.
Point of difference. We haven't had a guest for a while. But I think listening to the boys now running more, we can cover some good stuff anyway.
We certainly talk about shoes a lot more often, like for longer when we've been running.
True. How long's this gone for? 37 minutes, not too long. So
no.
What do you got coming up, Tommy?
Not a lot, really. I'm still tossing up whether I can get fit enough for Melbourne, but we'll see. I would love to do
what?
that. Melbourne Marathon.
That's 11 weeks away, big fella.
Yeah.
You're pretty fit already, Tom.
A steep ramp up.
And now you've got the wife back as well, so she's, you've got less duties at home, or I don't know, more duties at home. I don't know if that means more or less.
More duties. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I probably got more duties now she's back. But no, that's fine. I can do a quick 11-week ramp up, easy.
What about you, Julian? You going to run something in Melbourne, maybe the 10K?
Nah. I'll just go up. I like watching Melbourne. It's a good day out on the side of the road, handing some drinks, maybe doing some cheers. I got Bundoora cross country this weekend, so back in Spikes.
Ouch.
Yep, 10K. No, I think it's okay. The ground's so soft. When the ground's so soft, you don't get those calf issues because you just sink anyway. Dragonfly,
nice.
Oh, I have some New Balance cross country spikes, those pink ones. I forget what they're called. Yeah. But I'll take both up and we'll just see which one feels best.
Well, think about the 10K. I'm going to run the 10K in Melbourne. We booked our flights already to visit a couple of friends. So I haven't run the Melbourne Festival before. I've seen it, but I've never run it.
10K is no good, mate.
No, but look, I can't run a half yet. I'm still too useless for the half marathon.
Didn't they? For last year, there was they were running on little footpaths and all sorts.
I saw that.
No,
maybe it's different.
Yeah, maybe
it's a good event. It's a good fest. It is a good event though. Good vibe. It's a good day.
We might be able to catch up for that one then, perhaps. Julian decides to race as well. Or you'll be there anyway. You'll have plenty of
I'll be up
running,
there.
won't you?
I'm always up there.
You're always up there. Yep.
Love it up there.
Yeah.
Cheers, Tommy, as he comes past in first or second position.
Hopefully.
I don't want to bet against Tom. He seems pretty fit from that first race up.
Isn't he confident? Isn't he a little bit just smug sitting here 11 weeks out from a marathon?
Not smug. I think it's a bit ridiculous, but I'm going to try.
Yeah. Well, look, you might as well. You don't think you lose all that fitness that you had from last year. So.
No, I'm old. So I've got a bank of aerobic conditioning in these blood vessels. So I'm just banking on some quick, sharp sessions, getting me ready for something.
Look, what do you think? Do you think Alpha Flight 2 will be out before then, you reckon, Julian? He'll adjust to
Yeah, we'll be in them. He won't be.
He'll have that big rear foot rocker on it. He'll be like, that's my shoe.
Alpha Flight 2 looks terrible.
Hey, Tom, guess what I got in store late last week, Friday? Nike socks.
For what?
Nike socks in store.
Nike socks. These new Nike socks are so good. So I got my first 10 pairs. I got a fair few the other day, maybe 3 months ago, and I can tell they're going to last for 2 years without a hole. The ones I got from you are totally fine.
Look at these socks.
Not a sign of a hole.
Check these socks out. I'm just going to get my foot. That's Zara socks. That's a
oh my goodness!
Right? That's what I run with.
You run in those?
I run in them. Yeah, absolutely.
Nitta, I'm surprised you don't have your under 18 athletes' faces on there.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
who is it? The national champion?
Just because you've got no juniors that like running up with the
any of our juniors that are listening to this, they should definitely they'll make his year, they'll make his life just a Christmas present. Their faces on a pair of socks that he can wear. He'd love that.
God, we need more running socks. All right, guys. We're going to get over to watch the athletics on SBS. It's on now.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, guys.
All right.
See you later.
See you guys.
Special thanks to Asics for sponsoring this month's episode of Shoe Geeks, with a shoe designed for both cadence and stride runners and featuring the latest in racing shoe technology. The METASPEED Series has you covered to ensure you find your speed no matter your running style. Visit asics.com.au to get your pair today.
Just show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if it don't come back. Under cover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking. Under cover of my skin, I've heard all your names. in the world.